Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much to all of you. Really appreciate your time with us today and tackling some of these challenging issues that make it possible for our military to survive and thrive, and particularly taking on things like housing and childcare and healthcare, mental health. It's a long list, and we've been having a chance to talk about it all. Mr. Chair, I just wanted to quickly recognize I have a new staffer for this committee, Connor Friend, who's with us here today, who served in the Army, so we're very grateful to him for his service. And my partner will hate me to mention this, but he's in the back of the room, and he's a graduate of the class of 1975 West Point. So my brother was in the Navy. I'm really a Navy family, but I'm proud of having these two Army people with me here today and appreciate their service. So. Well, I got to tackle a little tough question on mental health, and thank you very much, Sergeant Major Michael Weimer. We had a chance to speak briefly, but I just want to talk to you about this. We had a really sad situation in our state. Army reservist went on a shooting spree in Lewiston last fall. In November, he killed 18 people and injured 13. We just had the release of an independent commission to investigate the facts of this tragedy, and they published an interim report. And one of the things it highlighted was that the shooter's chain of command notified on multiple occasions that there were serious mental health issues, which led to the commander ordering a mental health evaluation, subsequently restricted the shooter's access to all military weapons and ammunition. The mental health evaluation explicitly recommended that the commanding officer take measures to safely remove all firearms and weapons from the shooter's home. However, the commander did not report that information to the Saginaw County Sheriff's Office, so when he was returned home, that information was never made available. We're still waiting for the Army to publish some findings about this, but a couple of questions for you. When a service member is grappling with mental illness, as the Lewiston shooter clearly was, what does the military do to ensure civilian law enforcement is aware that this person should not be in possession of a firearm?
Congresswoman, thank you for that question, and you know, my condolences go out for that entire situation. Horrific. I also thank you for acknowledging the fact that it's still an ongoing investigation, and so I'll try to answer without overstepping. The bottom line, in the active component, it is a much simpler solution. It just is, in the spirit of being very, very candid with you, much simpler. Chain of command has a very deliberate battle rhythm. In our National Guard and our reserve compos, it's a little bit different, especially when the soldiers are not currently on either Title 10 orders or Title 32 orders. Title 10 working for the federal government, 32 working for the governor at that time. It gets a little gray there. Now, I will say this, though. Every chain of command usually has a mechanism to still look after their soldiers, right? First and foremost is they're still a soldier, whether they were on Title 10 or Title 32 orders. Same for if they're having suicide ideations or they're in trouble with the law and potentially have weapons in their home. To your question, it's a little bit different. But the commanders have the ability to reach out to local law enforcement. I don't know a specific mandate. I'll have to get that for you for the record to be very specific. But then I also don't want to overstep the ongoing investigation. For us, in the active component, that would be a senior mission command. The garrison that was responsible with the tenant unit that had said soldier, and the criminal investigation, CID, would be involved in that and would immediately notify local law enforcement of any threats or any danger.
Thank you for making it clear that could have or potentially should have happened in this particular case. Do Reserve or National Guard commanders have the authority to confiscate a soldier's firearms?
Ma'am, I'll have to take that for the record for you.
Okay. Sort of more broadly, how are you developing a broader plan to address with issues with reservists and guardsmen in crisis? And I understand what you said earlier, and I appreciate that it's a lot trickier than someone on active duty because of the sort of in and out nature of their connection to the military.
So one tangible thing that we're trying to understand how we can bring resources to our Compo 2 National Guard and Compo 3 Reserve teammates is in our holistic health and fitness. Again, back to how do we get left? We get upstream to be more preventative. The battle drill to be reactive when a crisis happens. To your earlier question, how do we get left? We're trying to figure out how to resource and assist both those compos with H2F, as I referenced it before. That's really challenging when service members aren't on orders at all times. But what we're looking into is how could we use regional hubs where we mobilize and we train for the weekend and we train for 2-week annual training in the summers. Because truly those resources are finite when you're hiring. It's not just equipment. Those are sleep specialists and physical therapists and nutritionists and basically holistic health. It's not just a gym. We're trying to surge that to commanders in the reserve and the guard to be able to, invest in the welfare and the health of their soldiers.
Well, thank you very much for your answer. I really appreciate that. And I do appreciate, and many of you have addressed this already, that we're taking much more seriously mental health as a component of readiness, of wellness overall, that we are understanding how critically important that is. And I, of course, look forward to the Army publishing its findings. I know this community in my state is anxiously waiting for that, and I do hope that any lessons learned from this become part of future protocol, and we can spare another community or another individual soldier themselves from any kind of harm. I've used up my time, but I do, again, want to thank you all. I would have been here to support the Navy. Thank you very much for, I know the Navy's very important in Maine because of Bath Iron Works and the Portsmouth Shipyard, and so all of the things that we're talking about today, the housing component, the childcare, making sure that the sailors who are associated with that have those level of services. And I appreciate the conversation that many of my colleagues have brought up about that. So thank you for that. It's really critically important to retention and to them being able to do their best possible job. So thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.